and yet again, it's what?
Groundhog Day.
Not quite, but it is cold and icy, and Ben, I'm getting a little sick of this. I don't know how you guys put up with this every year. Cold and icy, cold and icy, cold and icy. So, 4th Groundhog Day in a row. Well, I've had my fill. I think I'm going to move on. It seems to be time to pass the torch along, as these gentlemen are taking the torch from Bill Deeley, who historically the face of Groundhog Day for, well, since it became America's second favorite holiday with the launch of the movie oh so many years ago. Retired this past year, as we were down here covering last year, and passing the torch along to the new co-handlers, Ben Hughes and John Griffiths with an S. So, likewise, I'm going to pass the coverage along this year to my young cohorts, the Punxy Boys from Keystone Detour, who are going to take on a little different flavor of Groundhog Day coverage this year. You guys got some kooky things planned, I hear.
We're the new kids on the block.
The new kids on the block. Pretty cool, too. Are you ready? Can you handle?
You're passing a torch, right? I'm afraid I'm going to burn myself, man.
Corey, what questions do you have? You have one opportunity to ask the Groundhog handlers. A vital question before you died. What would it be?
What's it like? Big question. What's it like? I don't know, Griff. What's it like?
Well, the reason there are 2 of us is it's a lot of work, and that tells you just what kind of job Bill did, because he handled himself for years, but it's just become too big for one person to handle here lately. So
now we're on to 2. And if you put us both together, we weigh about what Bill Deeley weighs.
Just
but
about.
Don't tell him we said that. And right now we're focusing on our first year, so we're a little bit nervous. Although Phil is totally warmed up to us, and we're excited about that. We have yet to pull him out in front of the world and countless thousands of people. So we've been saying a few novenas at night, just hoping that it goes well.
but I'm sure Ben will have no problem when he does that. I'm just cage cleaner.
Yeah.
Is it an honor to be the new co-handlers? I mean, handling the groundhog is perhaps the most important part of the tradition of Groundhog Day, because you are the guys that Groundhog Day is all about him seeing a shadow. You guys will be the ones to actually pull him out of the hole and see if he sees a shadow.
Well, you don't have to work with Phil long to know that it's all about the groundhog. It's really not about us. And if you ever get that mistake when you run into the countless people that come here, they care a lot more about the little brown fuzzy guy than they do about us. But it's totally an honor. Phil is the most photographed Pennsylvanian. He's also the most photographed animal in the country. So that being said, there's it's an important job, and we need to make sure that it's done well.
So does anybody ever refer to you as the big fuzzy guy? Brown fuzzy guy? As a local, as a young fellow who grew up with this, there was never a time in your life that you did not have this as part of your life. What does it mean to you?
You might want to
be blunt. Be brutally honest.
Well, I mean, it's obviously one of the most important part of our, well, it's the most important part of the Punxsutawney culture. That's why we're so famous for it. So I appreciate it in a lot of aspects, but there are instances where it's kind of like, what's the big deal, you know, considering we are kind of worshiping a rodent, but it all comes back to having a good time, and I think that's what the biggest thing is. It's fun. It's just plain fun, and I think that's what's so great about it.
It's not about rodent worship. Let's clarify that.
No.
It's about weather prognosticating.
Right.
It's about the America's second favorite holiday. It's about predicting the weather for the entire world.
It's bigger than all of us.
You guys are co-handlers of Phil. Now, going into what, our 120th year now, right? 121st year. Last year was 120. Is this the first time in history that you're aware of the Groundhog Club that two people were assigned this duty?
To my knowledge, yeah, it's the first time. And like I said before, it's just a matter of the event's gotten bigger than what really one person can handle. where we work and our job restrictions make it impossible to cover all the things the events that we're asked to do by ourselves. So it makes sense. Thankfully, Ben and I have a good working relationship on it, and
it's a full-time job. You know, Groundhog Days gets bigger and bigger every year with our website that gets 20 million hits in a 3-day period. We've got countless thousands of people that are coming here. We're busing about 15 to 20,000 people a year just to the Knob. We go to schools all over Pennsylvania. We do special appearances everywhere. So it's just a lot of time and energy. Not to mention that behind us here, the cage needs to be cleaned. We need to make sure that his house is cleaner than ours and cleaner than probably yours. So those are just some of the things that we have to do.
So this is part of your duty as well, literally taking care, and Mr. Deeley did this as well as running his funeral home and whatnot.
Yep, that's it exactly. Like I said, a lot of people don't know what extra work goes into putting on Groundhog Day.
And there's no doubting that February 2nd is one of the funnest day of the years, but then it's February 3rd, and there comes all the caretaking responsibilities and making sure that he's got food and that he's got a clean place to sleep and that his bed is nice and warm, and all of those things are part of the job.
Now, another part of the job is PR, getting out there, talking with people. As we know, Bill's been on Letterman, he's been on television, he's been all over the place. Have you guys received any calls? You're going to be heading out anywhere this year doing any interviews?
I think at this point we're just focusing on making sure everything goes smoothly. We're not inviting anything at this point. The last thing that we want to have happen is to jeopardize the amazing national reputation that Phil has.
Oh, jeez! So you gotta find your leg. You gotta get them groundhog legs.
Get the groundhog legs.
And what we found this amazing thing that when you hold a groundhog, your mouth doesn't work. So we need to have one person that holds it and one person that talks, and then now you off.
Unless you're Bill Deeley, and then your mouth works all the time, no matter what you're doing.
See the little guy. Yeah, but he's saying. Now you mentioned it took a while. He's finally warming up to you. What does it take to get Punxsutawney Phil to warm up to you? Like money? Does he accept bribes? Is it food? Is it?
I think you have to just
basically
have the spirit.
Spending a lot of time with him is what it amounts to. Not bad.
Really?
Yeah, you just really have to spend a lot of time with him, get him used to, which. It took a while for it to happen, but
he's 121 years old. He's spent a lot of years with Bill Deeley, and now we just need to get him used to spending time with us. How about it?
So, well, now let's clarify. We weren't saying Bill's 120.
No, but Bill's been with him.
Bill just looks at it.
Now I've actually been receiving some feedback from folks from our MySpace on this. And somebody wants to know, and we answered this. I think Bill answered this in the documentary, but a guy by the name of Mike from Tennessee wants to know what Phil does eat when you guys take him out and about. Have you changed any of his habits at all? Are you doing everything the same?
Pretty much the same. He gets a mix that we get from one of the local businesses. Is his main meal, and then any vegetables, carrots. He likes yams. Any kind of vegetables. He likes most fruits, but he doesn't like grapes, which aren't good for him anyway. But
and we have a vet that works with him on a regular basis, so that they make sure that he's got a perfectly well balanced meal, so that he can continue for at least another 121 years. And so,
of course, the magic elixir is a big part of it.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Every
I've got
September.
a question.
Ooh, what's that?
Was there anybody in the inner circle that was envious of you two getting this honorable spot?
Good question.
Envious. I'll tell you a little story about that. A few years back, we were having a meeting, and at the time, Bill was looking at easing out a little bit and finding somebody else to help him. So this was brought up at the meeting, and our president, Bill Cooper, said if anybody's interested in helping Bill, let us know. Well, you could have heard a pin drop in there, and I mistakenly, after the meeting, feeling guilty, got up and told him that I would, on the sly, so the other guys didn't hear, that I would help him. And so I think that's, by default, I became one of the handlers. Not that I requested it, or it was just that there wasn't a lot of interest from too many other people, and I was shocked when Ben for no other reason other than nobody else was interested at the time, volunteered to do it, and thankfully it's been a nice mix for us. So.
Now I remember this. We followed you around when I made the film 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever it was, and at the time you were the rookie, the new guy, the new kid
On the block.
on the block.
But you see, he was the future, though. He is the future of Groundhog.
But I remember you saying after that first year how absolutely just fried you were, working the long hours. You had no idea how much went into it, and you were just wiped out. Now, a couple years later, you're going down here taking on more. Well, the guy must have just got to your heart, man. He must have just...
Well, look at him. Look at him. How can you say no to that face?
They love me.
That's right.
Love me.
That's right. It doesn't get any better than Phil here, and it's hard to say no to him. And he's very, very easy to be around. And he's been totally cooperative with us, and he's used to the change now himself. Because Bill Deeley has big shoes to fill, and he did a great job. So for us now, it's just focusing on making sure that we can continue to build on that tradition, and then maybe start some new things as well.
That's cool. Do you guys have anything planned, big, in the works?
We're still trying to figure out how we're going to either who's going to pull them out or how we're going to do it together. So no, we haven't looked too far into the future as far as making too many changes. And it's an institution that you don't like to mess with too much. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. Right.
Well, talking about an institution, now we got a great interview with Bill from last year. He was very generous and gave us a lot of his time. We didn't get to talk with you guys about Bill. What would you say to the folks in regards to Mr. Deeley? I mean, the guy for so many years was the face of Groundhog Day from when it first broke out onto the national scene.
I personally think that Bill Deeley exemplifies what Groundhog Day is. And I think it's a celebration of small town. It's a celebration of our cultural heritage and what we came from. I think there's a lot of people in this world that walk around with an urban edge or a sense of currency. And I think
kind of like these guys.
Yeah, really, like that. And I think what Bill does is he has a natural sense. He's comfortable in the White House, and he's comfortable in your living room. And if we can bring half of what he's brought, or between the two of us, if we can do it together, we'll be doing a good job. Big shoes to fill.
He is kind of that just absolute likable,
big teddy bear.
Yeah.
Well, come on back up here. We'll fix you up a little spaghetti. I mean, bring a little check within. We don't have any problem accepting anybody you have down there left over.
Well, wait a second, Bill. Are you asking for money for...
We're asking for the money. We don't care how you get it. We ask for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite Deeley memory?
My favorite, I can't even repeat any of my favorite ones. This is probably going to be PG rated, so. No, there are so many. I mean, he lends himself to, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but there's always a story whenever Bill's around. There's always something to look back on after an event that concerns Bill.
Now, he showed us a chainmail glove that he wore that Phil had actually gnawed through at one point and bit through. Do you use any protection at all with him? I mean, I'm surprised at how docile he is here. I mean...
Well, we spent a lot of time talking to him, and we pretty much have an agreement that we will take perfectly good care of him over the next multiple years, as long as he promises not to bite us. And so far, so good. He's done a pretty good job. So we're trying to stay with our end of the bargain, and hopefully he continues just to be nice and quiet. And he's getting a little older, 121, so maybe that has something to do with it as well.
Now, Bill told us that he actually eats dog food and ice cream as well. What's his favorite flavor?
I don't have any idea what he was talking about. Bill's getting a little senile, you have to remember.
I was going to say, from my standpoint, he's happy with a big granola bar as a treat. So maybe that's why he's a little more docile. He's getting healthier foods.
You guys said that you have some new things planned, possibly. Do you think that you two being the new groundhog handlers and doing maybe some new things, do you think that is going to change the atmosphere of Groundhog Day at all? Or?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, Groundhog Day has lots of traditions, and we want to stay with those. But we always want to, not just with Phil and not just us, but the whole club is always looking at what can we do to make it better? What can we have thousands of people who come here, so what can we do to make it better, more exciting, more fun? And what we found is that people used to come for a few hours or come for a day. Now they're coming for longer periods of time. We're working with Pennsylvania Department of Tourism to say, okay, when somebody comes in for 4 days, what do we do with them? So we are working with the Chamber of Commerce and different kind of people like that, just to make sure that when people come to Punxsutawney and to Central, Western, and Central Pennsylvania, that there's a lot of activities for them to do.
And these guys, too, have been the face of the party for years now. I mean, you guys have been the ones up there running the show and keeping it going and entertaining the crowd, too. So, now on that end...
Entertaining.
Exactly.
You get what you pay for up there. That's the way we look at it.
You took your positions.
We still maintain those, too, so we're still doing the entertainment, and Ben and I haven't learned how to say no yet. That's the big problem here.
That is a good question, though, Justin. What are your titles and what were your positions, and you're doing those now on top of your duties as handler?
Yeah, it's trying to squeeze it all in, and again, it's not just the two of us. People look at us and they think of the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is 15 guys, and all of them are doing a lot of work that so many people don't recognize. You have to remember that Punxsutawney has 6,000 people, and on Groundhog Day, that number goes from 6,000 up to 50,000, and that number is just a huge number, and we work with the borough, we work with the Inner Circle. There's a lot of people that are working to put this event together, including this guy.
And a multitude of volunteers that we can't thank enough, and we wouldn't be able to put Groundhog Day on if it weren't for the citizens of Punxsy. So,
do you think you guys make a good team? Do you think do you guys have ever conflict or disagree? Or?
Well, it's interesting that you have the camera, because off the camera I pretty much hate him.
Yeah.
So we try for the 15 minutes that we do of interviews to pretend that we like each other.
That's why I've kept my hands in my pocket this whole interview, because if I no telling what I just unleash on
It's kind of like a mom and dad who, if it wasn't for the child, they would get a divorce. But, we got Phil to think about now.
And Phil likes us both
What do you
equally.
guys say to the other Groundhog Day events other states put on? Like, I think there's one in South Carolina or something.
I don't know where those events are, but we used to worry about some of them, but we need to remember that we're the leader, not the follower. There's room, I guess, for different groundhogs, but we know, and certainly the world knows, that there is one weather predicting groundhog, and it's our friend Punxsutawney Phil.